Now it's time to join our colleagues across the nations and regions for the news where you are. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rita, and welcome to Look North in tonight's programme. 10 years, the stark difference in average life expectancy for people in Gateshead's richest and poorest areas. So what can be done? Fearing closure, the social club where fuel bills have jumped from under £300 to nearly £2,000 a month. Also tonight, we're live on Teesside for the return of the Stockton International Riverside Festival. And Scarborough launches a recruitment drive for seaside donkeys.
In sport, York swimmer James Wilby strikes gold once again at the Commonwealth Games. And why England batsman Alex Lees is in a spin with new technology at Durham Cricket Club.
10 years, the difference in life expectancy for those living in the richest and poorest parts of Gateshead. The borough is home to around 200,000 people, and charities and council teams are working to reduce the shocking health inequalities across the area. In a moment, we'll hear how public health experts plan to improve life chances. But first, Megan Patterson has been to visit an organisation which is trying to help.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Definitely happy at play in Gateshead. Children at Larkspur House playgroup getting stuck into a morning of free activities. Young lives developing, parents hopeful for bright futures.
Just wish that she's just, you know, happy, polite, a kind little girl, you know, and I hope she does very well in the future. Like right now, she honestly every day she just makes us really proud.
Even though like money's hard and stuff at the minute, like I still want to like think back of a childhood and like have memories and stuff. Like James goes to football and stuff, and like even if I've got a hard week and like don't have much money, we'll go to like the park.
The playgroup, run by a charity, is part of a range of schemes aimed at improving services in local communities. As well as bringing people together, there's a focus on enhancing life chances. Important because the latest government figures show men in the most deprived places in Gateshead can expect to live until they're 71 years old. That's compared to 83 years life expectancy in the least deprived areas. For women, there's an 11-year gap between the most and least deprived areas, 76 years compared to 87.
On average, we see about 10 years difference in life expectancy. When you think about 10 years, what if we all look back to our own lives and think about what happened in the last 10 years, that's the difference, that's what people miss simply because they live in a more deprived area.
Health is an obvious factor dictating life expectancy. Quality of housing, income and education also key.
Perfect. Well done, ladies. How was that?
An issue not easy to unpick. Charities like this are trying to help. A network of community houses connecting people with each other and with the services they need to improve their own lives. Running exercise groups, lunch clubs and skills workshops too.
We've put on maths classes. We had one lady who got her first ever maths qualification at the age of 82. She had never got a qualification before in her life. But that was such an important thing for her, because actually then she was able to sit with her grandson and try to encourage him with his homework and try to encourage him with his educational journey, which might not have been something that she would have thought of before. We also have a lot of opportunities for people to volunteer. And that's really important when maybe people haven't been in work for quite some time. So it gives them stuff to put on their CV. So maybe they will do a food hygiene training with us and start to go on the rota to cook community lunch. So building people's confidence and giving them experience of doing things that otherwise they wouldn't get.
Charities like this, along with council initiatives, are chipping away at the life challenges faced by many families, with the big ambition of helping everyone live longer in better health. Megan Patterson, BBC Look North, Gateshead.
Well, earlier today I went to Gateshead to meet the Director of Public Health, and I asked her about what appears to be a postcode lottery when it comes to life chances.
I think it's completely unacceptable that 2 babies born today in our fabulous QE hospital can have as much as a 10-year difference in life expectancy. And this is due entirely to the circumstances into which they're born. You know, as we see issues around poverty increasing, you know, alongside the cost of living crisis, there's a real worry for us in the council and in our health and care system that actually this is just going to get worse as people are pushed further and further into sort of difficult circumstances within families.
So what can the council do about it?
I think it's probably less about the council doing things directly to communities, but actually working with our partners, with our grassroots community organisations who have trusted relationships in local neighbourhoods, so that we can enable our residents to be involved with the things that really matter to them and to identify some of the challenges that they're experiencing, but also some of the solutions that they see for themselves. We've seen a levelling off of life expectancy overall. It's the first time in 100 years we've seen that. We've seen a decrease in life expectancy across the whole of the North East, but it particularly has affected women over the last few years. Over 1 in 5 of our women in Gateshead currently live in persistent poverty, and poverty really places an enormous amount of stress and pressure on people, which obviously results in, sort of health harming issues.
What can the government do to help?
And it really is about addressing those issues with the cost of living crisis. But there are also things that could happen around, welfare reform and thinking about universal credit, thinking about the top-up payment that was paid during the COVID pandemic and whether there are options to be able to reconsider something like that. Because actually what I'm really concerned about is that 1/3 of our children are growing up in poverty at the moment. And children who are in households where there is issues around poverty and stress, are much more likely to grow up experiencing some of these poor health outcomes. And for me, like I say, in one of the richest countries in the world, it's not acceptable.
Appeals have been launched by 9 of the 10 teenagers convicted of the murder of Wearside teenager Jack Woodley. The 18-year-old was stabbed in Houghton